Hey guys, so today I'm just going to talk about the battery replacement on a 9740 350. The negative battery actually on my bus has two connections, so the positive terminal also has two connections. Now the reason for these two terminals is because in a diesel system they actually require two batteries to actually start such a high compression engine. Now those two terminals run down inside of the bay of the engine, down along the frame, and right back into the passenger side, and you'll see a compartment that is attached to the frame. So now that we're underneath the bus on the passenger side, you can see the auxiliary battery compartment. It does have a lot of rust on it, but it's really actually in pretty good condition overall and still structurally sound. One of the things I did have to replace is the battery terminals, as they were in pretty bad shape, and I felt having new ones be a better connection. I also replaced those two bolts as well, just to secure it and to make sure that it was easy to take off at another time. One of the things I do recommend getting is help. I did find this job actually particularly difficult by myself. I had a few tools that would actually help me, especially with actually raising and lowering of the battery auxiliary compartment itself. The reason for this is the battery is quite heavy, and what I really needed and what I actually did do is use a hydraulic jack with a piece of plywood mounted underneath, and that would go flush up against the compartment itself. Now, it is doable by yourself. It is probably a lot easier with help. This job actually took me roughly about 4.5 to 5 hours to complete. Most of this was actually due to the fact that much of the hardware, like the screws and the bolts, were actually rusted, and the terminals themselves were actually in bad shape, so I needed to be replaced. So taking those off, I broke bolts and screws, and it became somewhat of a nightmare, to be honest with you. So it ended up being a 2-day job of going to get parts and getting everything reconditioned and put back in. So this was just a brief overview of how to replace the batteries. The first of which is in the engine bay, very easy to access, only requires an 8mm socket to reach down and unscrew the pin that actually holds the battery in place, and then another 13mm, I believe, to actually remove the battery terminals. Now, getting to the auxiliary battery is obviously somewhat more difficult and will require some special tools, especially if you're doing this on your own. And the one thing to be cognizant of is the fact that if it hasn't been replaced in quite some time, say 4 to 5+ years, then you're probably looking at some rust and having to deal with those types of situations, as well as trying to get those screws and those bolts off and ensure that you're not breaking things in the interim. So guys, that about wraps it up for today. If you have any comments or concerns or questions, you can leave a comment below, or you can just send me a DM. I'm going to be taking off soon here on a trip down to Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. Follow along on all social media, and I'll be sure to chat with you soon, guys. Thanks for watching today, and hopefully you found this video useful.